So the NFL as we know it today is the most popular sports league in the United States. With 32 teams in total, the league is divided into two conferences. The American Football Conference, known as the AFC, and the National Football Conference, known as the NFC. Each one of these conferences have 16 teams each, which is split further into 4 divisions where we have the North, the South, the East, and the West. And each one of these teams compete in 17 regular season games to decide who goes to the playoffs. And at the end of these 17 games, we have 7 teams from each one of these divisions actually making it to the playoffs, guys. This format is very unique to the NFL. A lot of other leagues use different formats than this, but the NFL has used this to build a lot of rivalries and give us some really entertaining matchups. But today, y'all, I want to switch that up. I want to see what if the NFC and the AFC had their own separate leagues. Which one of these leagues will actually be better? Which one of these leagues would be more entertaining to watch? So if you're interested in that, stick around for the video. This one gonna be a banger. Let's get into it. So let's start with the overall talent pool. If we separate the AFC and the NFC, which one of these leagues would have better talent overall? Now, when we take a look at the AFC part of football, we see extremely talented quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, we have Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and even Lamar Jackson. The AFC is stacked when it comes to quarterback talent. It's extremely hard to mention a talented quarterback without bringing in an AFC team. For some reason, when it comes to drafting players, this side or this conference of football is extremely good at getting the right quarterback. And the thing is, it just doesn't stop with quarterback play from the AFC. We have guys like Travis Kelce, Jamar Chase, Myles Garrett, Sauce Gardner, TJ Watt. The AFC is stacked with some of the best players we know of in football. And I bet you on a regular day, if you're naming some of your favorite players in the NFL, they're probably on the AFC side of the ball. Now, when we move on to the NFC, the story is a little different because even though we have great quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, we even have Dak Prescott in the NFC, we still see a lack in quarterback talent in this conference of football. And I understand that some might say the NFC is trying to improve their quarterback depth, like we see right now with guys like Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, but overall in this division, the quarterback isn't the big story. The NFC is mostly known for their skilled players. We have the likes of Christian McCaffrey, and especially right now, we have a guy like Saquon Barkley, a potential MVP candidate. So when it comes to overall talent outside of quarterback, I think the NFC have a strong hold on that. They just don't have the quarterback depth that could carry a team to winning a Super Bowl. Now, when it comes to my final verdict on this aspect of it, I think the AFC win when it comes to pure talent. I'd rather watch the AFC if I'm looking for crazy talent and crazy players than the NFC. Hey, that's just me though. Now let's move on to the pure fan bases of both of these leagues if they split. Now, when we take a look at the AFC, we can clearly see that there will be a lot of fans coming the way of the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the thing with the AFC is that even though they have these powerhouses, these great franchises, they also have franchises like the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cincinnati Bengals, these franchises that have very small markets. When we take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals, for example, they're literally the lowest earning team in the NFL right now. They have a market cap that is lower than any other team in the league. So even though we have huge teams in the AFC, we also have a lot of smaller and newer teams in the AFC that kind of take away from that overall viewership if they were to be a league on their own. But that is the completely different story when we look at the NFC, for example. The NFC have juggernauts like the Dallas Cowboys. They have Jerry Jones there calling the shots. This team literally has the highest value in the NFL, one of the highest values in all of sports. We can even look at the New York Giants, the Commanders, the Eagles, Los Angeles Rams, the 49ers. All these teams are extremely valuable and have massive audiences. So when you look at the fact that they have all this wealth in the NFC and all this popularity in the NFC, NFC, it obviously leads to a point where you see them having more viewership if the league was split. The National Football League or the National Football Conference is extremely rich when it comes to market value for their teams. That is why I honestly think when it comes to a verdict, the NFC will have more viewers than the AFC if they were to split. Guys, we're trying to beat Brandon Perna. Okay, for almost 5K subscribers, a lot behind him, but in 30 years we're gonna get there. So help me and let's reach that goal. Let's go back to the video. Now I want to talk about the actual amount of money and the financial implications for both of these conferences if they decided to split. I do think that the NFC would destroy the AFC when it comes to revenue generation. The NFC, like I said earlier, have a lot of powerhouses. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the biggest franchises, the Dallas Cowboys, another huge franchise, all in the NFC. So when it comes to just dominating on that money stage, on that fan base, that viewership stage, I do think the NFC would thrive more than the AFC when it comes to the financial aspect of things. So now guys, with all that being said, I want to go a little deeper into this because we have the NFC and the AFC in the NFL, but what if we actually switch that? What if we do something more towards the side of the NBA where we have an Eastern and a Western conference? Would this actually be better for the NFL or worse? Now, first of all, how would this even work in the NFL? Well, my thinking is instead of having the AFC and the NFC, let the NFL actually recognize the geographical regions of teams. Let's have an Eastern conference that's going to consist of teams in the Northeast and Midwest. And then we have teams in the West Conference consisting of Southern and Mountain Region teams like the Denver Broncos. For me, an Eastern Conference will look something like this, where you will have the Eagles, the Jets, the Giants, the Ravens, the Packers, the Lions, and then we will have the Western side of things where you will have the San Francisco 49ers, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys. I think this format has a lot of benefits, and I'm going to explain why. If we let go of the old AFC and NFC style and switch to the East and the West format, we could see reduced travel times for a lot of teams. Teams wouldn't have to travel so far across the country, and this could lead to obviously fairer matchups because teams that are traveling further would obviously have more fatigue, and that will obviously impact the play, bro. Let's be honest. And also, let's look at the fact that fans will have more regional rivalries. Regional rivalries are a lot more interesting, a lot more intense than rivalries that are halfway across the country. When fans can root for teams right across the state from them, it's a lot more intense, and those matchups are a lot more fun to watch, in my opinion at least. And then we can also look at the scheduling. The scheduling could also become a lot simpler for the NFL. The scheduling could become a thing that fans and everyone get used to instead of the curveballs that the NFL throws every year based on advertisers and money. Alright, if we have regional rivalries and regional games between teams that are actually close to each other, I think that will make the watching, the viewing experience of the game a lot better. And obviously look at the players as well. It's gonna make their lives so much easier. There's a reason the NBA have an Eastern and a Western conference. Yes, you can say they have a lot of games, but the benefits still remain. If you can create regional rivalries and also help your players be more refreshed and keep the game a lot fairer on away teams, this overall increases and improves the integrity of your league as a whole. And obviously, like everything, there are drawbacks, guys. I understand we will lose the tradition of the AFC and the NFC, and that's a core part of football that a lot of people don't want to let go of, right? And another side of this could be the fact that teams in maybe the Western Conference could garner a lot of talent compared to teams in the Eastern Conference, and that all makes sense. But I think that this is an idea that once the NFL or people higher up than me look at more, they can actually find a good implementation of this in the current day NFL. So guys, even though the AFC and the NFC are a huge part of football, having them together create the tradition that we all love as fans, the tradition that we've all gotten used to. I do want to propose a new way to the NFL, and I do want us to understand that the league that we know of today can change down the line. If the NFC or the AFC split, obviously the NFC would win, but if the entire format of the NFL was switched overall to benefit the players and the fans, that could be a whole new world of possibilities that I would honestly love to see. So please let me know all your thoughts down in the comments about everything we talked about today, and watch all the other videos, the other great content on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe. Bye bye.